khabong he ka tsena tsa kgwebo jalo ka ho tseba hore le ba go le leng re ke re wele khabong ka tsena tsa kgwebo ba ileng hore re matlafatsa batjha ba ileng hore ba batla ho ikalla dikgwebo tsa bona ba bang ba se ba tsotse pele ka kgwebo tsa bona empa ba ipotsa hore na ba di hodisa jwang le hona ho di matlafatsa jwale re buisana le Kgomotso Lekola ke le tswalla la ka maona ka Pretoria me re buisana le motho le hore ona le tsebo ya dilemo se 20 ka ofela tsa mosebetsi ho tloha le modula setlo wa boto mahlanka phethahatso mahlanka e moholo wa tsa tshebetso di-company tse kgolo bana boe kwano naheng ena ya rona ya Afrika Borwa mme o bile le kabelo e kgolo diprojekeng tse fapaneng di-industry tse fapaneng tse kenyeletsang ya tlhahiso merafo mmoho le telecommunications ha tse ding
Mongadi Lekola re o amela kwano tshebeletso ya Lesedi FM ra khubela afternoon drive dumela abuti
dumelang le kae
phetse ntate wena o phetse
awa ke phetse
ra leboa ntate re ntse re shebile taba tsa hao ntate o mangolongolo tsebo ka ofela dilemo tse 20 mme ke tsebo leng hore ke ditulong tsa boetapele ka ofela fela ha re tle tabeng ya hao ya kgwebo tshiseho ye ya hore le wena o iphumane o le e mong wa borra kgwebo ba hlahelletseng ka mahetla ya atlehileng ebile e qadile ho kae
ke ntse go ileng le yona go lane from la kweste ke lo munyane a ke itse ke fameka ne ke bona fela ke la kgwebo. So from a very early age, get casualty in the neighborhood, get pollution, the Catalan, get one, all of the above. So I always had the desire for something.
Monna o tlolla mosebetsi o qala kgwebo a se qeto e bonolo leeto le o lebile jwang mo teng o tlollang pe o tsebang hore jwang kapa jwang ya kena kgwedi fela o ya mo sa tsebeng hore be ntho di tla loka kapa jwang
Yeah, so as I said, business is like everything else in life. You know, it's like how Bapala Polo or an actor or even a presenter like yourself. It's something selling was to come out happily how, you know. And there comes a point more in your life, more you put down or no, this is the path that I'm going to do, and you dedicate your whole life to. So now in particular, I've always known that I want to take this path. But above all else, I'm a person who from young age into science and engineering. So I've dedicated my entire life to the pursuit of one goal, science engineering as a baseline for business. So you can't. Well, I mean, there's many ways to skin a cat, I suppose. But if I'm going to become a business person, I don't want to be just a general business person. I want to do something specialized. More than I can build something that can be globally competitive. And to do that, the way the world works, you have to look at the science and the engineering field for that. And it's something that I've done my whole life. I've dedicated my whole life to.
Kgomotso kwenena o no sebetsa mme o sebetsa mosebetsi le hore motho batho ba bangata bana ba ke ba utlwela ho tloa ho ba mohlanka phethahatso ho ba modula setilo wa boto mohlanka e moholo ho tsa tshebetso ha se mosebetsi le hore motjha e mong le e mong kapa motho e mong le mong ha sa fitlile bo emong bo aka theoha setulo empa wena o la bona ho le bohlokwa hore o kene ho tsena tsa kgwebo e fetotse bophelo ba hao ka tsela e jwang ha e tlila o sheba ka nako ntse o sebetsa le hona village
Yeah, so it's a very difficult path always young once you make a choice. And I think Hanishi, in interviews like this, we make it sound like, you move from point A to point B, then you succeed. No, it's very difficult. Maybe 10 years, before business like a stabilizer, before I was in a position where I would build products that would be acceptable. I mean, how to start a business like an one. You're quite right. I was quite successful co-corporate. I had a good job. I had very good experience. And then when I went on my own, I was literally kili one, go high in my studies. And it took me 5 years before I hired my first person. And I'm sitting with a staff complement of close on 130 across all my businesses. So it's I don't think we leave our country. It requires follow your path even when you want to give up, you mustn't. And there's people that tell you, no, they've never thought of giving up. Well, maybe I'm different. Sometimes I think of giving up 3 times a day, but on the 4th occasion I tell myself not to give up. And that's the path that you have to take. But the question always remains, what is the higher goal? What is the higher purpose? So I knew for corporate, I will do a good job and then maybe I'll retire one day on a nice package. But that's not who I am. I want to build something. I want to build a legacy. So, and for the kids on my path, it's because I want to build something that I can put my name on and say, I've built that.
Hona le phoso tse tswang ke borakgwebo ba bangata. Most entrepreneurs ba yetsa phoso ena me dikgwebo diwe. Ke phoso e feng o nanang hore o laka wa yetsa empa wa gona o phama ka mora yona?
The phoso ke too much. That's how but I think the biggest mistake particularly in the early years, is when the money comes in, we have a tendency to confuse a revenue with profit. So how much is 10,000? You assume from 10,000 no, I see how. Only a portion of the 10,000 after you've taken off the expenses and the things that you need to pay and so on and so forth. And I know it sounds like it's an obvious thing, but it's not so obvious when your business is running on a continuous basis, money is coming in on a continuous basis. So always keep your eye on what's coming in, what has to go out, and what portion is eventually yours. It's very difficult. In teaching cash flow management, it's very, very difficult and it's not obvious. And I think a lot of us in the early days, we make that mistake of underestimating exactly how much cash flow you need to run your business, and you end up only in a lot of trouble. And to transition from a small business to a big business, it's the one thing you need to master, to understand the flow of money through your business. That's the critical thing. But now, if you ask me, just generally speaking, for what I think the biggest area that I see, particularly for young people, that they need to focus on if they want to be successful in business, I'll go back to, you have to go to school. This thing, school, then start your business on the side and succeed. Yes, it's possible. Some people do it. But now I hold the view to build the kind of business that can be big and be globally competitive. You don't have a choice. You need a solid education in the math and science.
Ke buka e feleng hore o laka wa e bala mme ya fetola bophelo ba hao ya etsa hore o shebe tsamaiso ya kgwebo ka tsela e ka lihlole e fapaneng. Mme ke tseba hore skimi sa rona sa drive ke batho ba ileng hore ba bala dibuka mme le bona ba batla hore ba ifumane dikgwebo tsa bona di matlafetse. Ke buka e feleng hore o ka eletsa motho ga iphumanele yona?
The book is interesting, but I'm going to take a slightly different slant towards it. I think for a lot of times what I find to encourage me in terms of what I engage with when I read is I want to understand what the formula of success in general is. So one of my favorite books, mainly A Brief History of Everything by Bill Bryson. What's interesting about the book is it talks about many of the great scientists, respected academics, and so on and so forth, and the work that they've done. But she goes into explaining some of the challenges that they had, the trials and tribulations that they had, what they had to overcome in order to achieve their final goal. For now, when I read that kind of thing, I find Horian Khotat to say, I'm not alone. When I've got challenges to overcome. There are other people in various other fields who had to also learn, who had to master the art of, having challenges and overcoming.
Go motho ha re batla go tswela pele ho sala leeto la hao morao re batla dikeletso le ditataiso go fumana kae di kgokahanyong tsa rona tsa setšhaba?
Can I leave profile on LinkedIn? So yeah, so I do post a lot. My thoughts start business, so various things. So yeah.
Wa khona re fa lebitso la buka yo ka tang bua ka yona?
Yeah, Bill Bryson, A Brief History of Everything. A short history of nearly everything.
Okay. alright le bila holo fela go motse rola ka letsa ka tlolo mahlonolo monna re motlotlo re le Lesedi FM hore be rena le batjha ba tshwanang le wena ba ileng hore ka nnete o tluile boemong ba a small business to a business e leng hore o so itshwere o na le batho ba over 100 ba ileng hore ba o sebeletsa monna re a leboha.
Thank you.
Semoe